Hello, class. I hope you had a great summer. I hope you guys are ready for a very creative and productive semester, as I am. I wanted to make this video so I can kind of talk a little bit about what I'm doing. I sent you an email that I'm not going to be in class and you're starting your first day watching this video. I'm taking part in a print fair that I organize every year. We didn't have it last year, obviously, but that's what leads me out of town today. And as I'm talking to you now, I'm probably just now boarding my flight and on my way back to Laredo. Or otherwise, I probably would have just done this as a Zoom, um, you know, presentation. Anyways, so in thinking about just, like instead of just sending this email, oh, I'm out of town at a show, I was like, this is a good opportunity to talk about uh, a little bit about an avenue of getting your work out there and what printmaking is kind of all about. Um, Printmaking, works on paper, screen prints, wood blocks, letterpress, etchings, you know, works on fabric, just any kind of printed media. There's all these fairs that happen, and there's all these communities. No matter where you go, there's always a group that you can, a built-in audience, but also a built-in support group of other printmakers that you can easily get involved with. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some of these artists and some of these opportunities here in Texas. So Print Riot is a small fair where I invite artists from all over the country, and artists or print shops will fly out and we do a show for 2 days, and it goes pretty well. People come in and they already know that they can buy the art they see and walk out with it and take it home. So this is the poster I made for the one this year. And then instead of it just being Friday and Saturday, we're doing a Sunday show at Gutenberg Arts. And Gutenberg is in New Jersey, and it's across the river from Manhattan. So over the summer, sorry if this mic clips a little bit. I'm doing this, this is going to be a pretty low-tech video. So anyways, over the summer, I've been cranking out prints. Like, for example, this series of prints. These are all made from 2 lino blocks, which those of you that have had printmaking before, this is one of the first things we do is linoleum cuts. And they're all different. I made 50 different versions of them. Converted some of my linoleum cuts to screen print and made a few posters, like this one with the ramen noodle, and this one which I call South Texas Sunburn. And I made this with, you see that in the bottom corner there's some ink that I got from the amazing Hancock Brothers, which is a group of brothers here in Texas that make prints. And they got their own ink color made after them. And some other block prints, right? So I make all these prints, and that's the thing about prints is you're making multiples. So you make, and each is considered an original piece. So like for this print, for example, I made 20 different versions, or I made 20 prints, all the same, of this print. And if I wanted, I could make another version, another color, and that would be another edition. What's nice about prints is, well, you make them and you can sell them really inexpensive. So it's cheap to make the work because it's just ink on paper. It's cheap to collect the work. I'm talking, when I say cheap, I mean like these print fairs, like the one that I put on, there's prints from, $20 and $20 to $200 is usually the price range. So I make prints to sell in that price range, like this print I sell for $40, and I make enough of them to cover, the cost of materials and my time doing it. So here's just a couple photos of the space that I show at this print fair. So it's a relatively small fair. I usually have like 14 vendors. I like to keep it small because the town that it's in is Easton, Pennsylvania, which is about an hour and a half from New York, and it's about an hour and a half from Philadelphia. So there's a good group of people who are interested in arts, but may not travel to, Philly or New York to go buy art. So I bring a lot of artists from Philly and from New York and from Florida and from all over. Um, so here's the group from Print Riot 3. I've been doing this for, the past 4 or 5 years. Like I said, we didn't do one last year. And now that things are starting to get a little safer and, some of these things are starting to happen again. So I scheduled it for the end of the summer, and it just overlaps where school starts. So many of the artists that I have invited are people that I've either known of their artwork, you know, through a lot of things. Either I've seen it in a show, or I've seen them on social media, of course, or they're artists that I have followed or were inspirational to me starting out. So yeah, so there's a group picture from the other year. So when I first moved to Pennsylvania, one of the first things I was excited to go to while I lived on the East Coast was a show called Prince Gone Wild, and it's put on by Cannonball Press. Martin Mazzora is the one who organized this show, and he's always been an inspiration from when, I was a student like you guys. 16 years ago, I was in my first printmaking class, somewhere around there. So I finally got to go to the show and meet all these artists who, I've been looking up to. And like, for example, Drive By Press, this is them printing. And they would do it for one night only, and it would be in Brooklyn, and it would usually be at like a nightclub or something like that. They just took all the tables and chairs out of and filled it with prints, and people would go and buy. And I would go there, and I would have a little, an idea of kind of who I wanted to collect. And I would buy some prints and then drive back home. So I always wanted to be in that show, but I wasn't far enough in my career maybe, to get into a show like that. But I did do a show with Martin in Miami, and I met a ton of artists there. So I, living in Easton, I just approached a gallery that I showed work with and said, hey, let's do a print fair. And I invited Martin Mazzora, I invited all these artists, and they all came out, and it was good. It was a success. So I've been putting it on ever since. So just think of this, going forward in the future with your own career, whatever you do. Sometimes you're the person that's getting invited to do these kind of things, like be in a show or exhibition, and then sometimes you're the person that organizes, and you're the curator, and that's put you in a really good position because then you get to know other people by supporting other people. So since moving to Texas, even though I live in Texas now, I still put on the show, so I fly back to do it. I think it's a matter of time, before I do a show. Maybe I think, I'd like to do a print fair here in Laredo, for example. It's just something I've been thinking about. But locally in Texas, there are a lot of big shows. There's a big print community all throughout Texas. Every year they have a show called Print Austin in Austin, Texas. And this is a much bigger show than the thing that I put on. And there you can see right at the front, the very first booth, that's Martin Mazzora. You give that guy a zip code, he'll go there and he'll sell prints. That's what he's kind of just like a troubadour, going around selling prints. So anyways, Print Austin takes place every year, usually in the spring. And the past couple of years, I've taken students, my print students, to go to the show and check out what's going on, because a lot of the artists that show at Print Austin are from all over too. They're not just from Texas. So it's a big show. Same thing, like, prints, you can go in there and buy a print for $5, $10, buy buttons, buy patches, buy t-shirts. And then there's everything from that all the way up to, high dollar prints from galleries. So I would take students and we would go and check out the show, look at the prints. It was, we got to, you could talk to the artist. You can, you can kind of get a good slice of what's going on in contemporary printmaking by going to Print Austin, because they have the print fair, but then they also have galleries and they have print shops like this shop. This is Coronado Print Shop, which is a part of Flatbed Press in Austin. And I was able to, set up a time where I could bring students to his studio and he could show us his shop. And that was really a good opportunity. So yeah, every year I try. Well, every year I have taken students. Obviously, it was canceled this year, or not this year. Well, this year, but hopefully the next one coming up in 22. I'm still got my ear to the ground on that one, and hopefully everything works out and we're able to have it again. So that's in Austin. There's another. There's an even bigger event than that is called the Southern Graphics Council, SGCI, Southern Graphics Council International. 2 years ago, it was held in Dallas, and this is a huge, huge conference. So there's printers, there's schools. It's more of an academic type event. Think of it like it's kind of like Comic-Con or something for printmaking. And they do it in different cities every year. The past 2 years, it's been canceled because of, the pandemic. It was going to be in Puerto Rico, and then I think it was going to be in Providence, Rhode Island. But this is a couple years ago. It was in Dallas, and I went to that one. And I think the year before that, it was in Vegas, and I think I went to that one. Yeah, I did go to that one. So I want to show you these pictures. I want to show you all these people who are all, I don't know what you call them, like they're into prints. It's like that's their passion. And they're not all printmaking is one of those things where you can be a painter and make prints, you can be a poet and make prints, you can be a graphic designer and make prints, you can be a sculptor and make prints. It's one of those things that no matter what your medium, it can be translated into a print, and so it bridges a lot of mediums. But there's also people that are just really into prints. And there's another big show that they do every year is in Lubbock, Texas. It's called UFOs over Lubbock. I'm probably going to do that one this year. And the reason why I do these and why artists do these is because, number one, it's fun. You get to meet a lot of other people who are and geek out about the same things, that you like. You get to talk to people and tell them about your work outside of a gallery setting. Most of the time these fairs are kind of they're pretty laid back and chilled out. Sometimes they have DJs, sometimes they have bands. Sometimes they're sponsored by breweries and things like that. So it's a pretty cool, like, it's kind of like a little party. And another one that I did this year over the summer was print paper trails, and that's in San Antonio. And they do that one over the summer, and that's a really good show. A lot of fun, like I said. And it was really busy this year because I think everybody's been cooped up so long. So it was, it was a good show. There was a lot of people that came out, and, it's a good time. Head by all. It's a lot of fun. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm doing the Easton show. I did the New Jersey show, and then I gotta, wrap up some things there. And then, like I said, I'm probably on my way back right now, and hopefully I'm sure I will, have some new prints that I can show you that I picked up while I was there. And I'll tell you more about it, I guess, when I get back. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you that, like just said, printmaking is one of those mediums where, it's about, there's a built-in community. You're not like on an island. If you're willing to get in the car, get on a plane, you can go and, hopefully you make a little money, you meet some people, you network, you collaborate with others, and it's a really good thing to be a part of. And that's the thing I like most about prints. It's really, it's very democratic. It's easy to get into, to collect. It's easy to make. It's easy to, put together, these kind of gigs. A lot of work, but still, it's worth it. So, let's talk about what we're going to be doing for your first assignment, which is more of kind of like a workshop. So, last year, I was awarded a National Endowment of the Arts grant to purchase letterpress equipment. And we got some wood type and we got some lead type, and we have 2 presses. And since, like I said, things are getting back, safer, as people are and things are starting to open up over the summer, I've been conducting, along with the research assistants, various events around Laredo and having workshops. And one of the workshops that I did was called Laredo Language. And what I did was I made a workshop that was, 3-4 hours, and I invited, anybody who wanted to sign up. So there was a lot of, I'll get to that here in a second. Let me just show you the product and what we're making here. So using very low-tech, really spontaneous type image making posters. So this poster, Pushy Palm, that's the alliteration part. Alliteration is 2 or more words, and they're related by either the a similar sound or they start with the same letter. Okay. This poster was made by doing paper stencils and using the etching press. So I can create the positive, and then I can take that same stencil and then make a negative image. And then we made foam stamps, out of craft foam, like it's a really spongy foam, and then printed that all over the top of it, right? Using different, if you notice, there's a little bit of transparency in the ink, so when you have, like, let's say that yellow is overlapping the red, it's making an orange color, a little more reddish orange. And then the next part is the type. So I'm going to show you guys how to set type, and then how to put that type and make a print, make a poster. So these were my 2 examples. So let's read over the instructions. This is the instructions that I sent out to the folks that signed up for the workshop. I did 2 workshops. One day, I think it filled up. I think I had 12 spots, so it filled up. And then so I ended up running it again, and then it filled up that second time too. So, this might be done again, this workshop. But anyways, let's go to the instructions here. So for this workshop, you're going to print 4 12 by 18 posters. Now I'm going to supply the paper, ink, and everything. So when we get back in class, I'm going to give you a couple demonstrations of this, and then we're going to put that into practice. Each print can be different, but must include a phrase using alliteration, the occurrence of the same letter or sound at the beginning of adjacent or closely connected words. Think of Peter Piper picked a pepper, right? That's alliteration. The phrase must be inspired using words or ideas that represent Laredo, South Texas, and or Northern Mexico. For example, the phrase I used in my print, Pushy Palm, is about being captivated by the palm trees in Laredo. I was surprised to see them when I first visited Laredo 3 years ago. The term pushy can be taken many ways. For this print, it is meant to mean bold, ambitious, and pushing upwards towards the sky. Having a couple ideas of sketches ready for the workshop, or have a couple ideas and sketches, that's going to be your assignment for next class. And then I'll show you how to set type and mix colors and make the stencils and do the stamps. One of the 4 prints must go into the print portfolio that will be exhibited in the near future here in Laredo. The portfolio will be archived in our print collection here at TAMIU. So I've already, since writing this, I've secured a show. In December, I'm going to have a show of the letterpress projects, because we've done this project and we've done many other projects. And we're going to have a big exhibition at the Laredo Center for the Arts in December. And one of your prints for this will be in that show. So I'm going to show you some of the ones that the participants of the workshops made. Now these participants are former students, they're employees that worked at TAMU, they're artists that live here in town, they're people who are just interested in letterpress, they're community activists. So I mean, there was a wide range of people that made prints. So let me show you a couple of them. Like I said, everybody made 4, and then they picked one to go into the collection. So most, and so some of the people that did the workshop had made prints before, and like I said, some had never made a print. But these are all made the same way: paper stencil, stamp, and the type. And it's really nice and amazing, like how different they all are. Using the same materials. This is really nice. Some of them use the, you're using the negative space as part of the imagery. Some of them are fully covered, in color. But you can see how they're all related to this region, this area. Here you see some of the participants working. That's one of our little presses, tabletop press. These are some of the stencils being cut. Stamping out prints. Like I said, when we do this, we'll roll out the inks. We'll have a lot of different colors to choose from. It's our etching press. You can see in this picture, this is how the paper stencils are made. There's a slab of ink that's rolled out, and then the stencil goes on top. And where the stencil goes, it protects the paper. So whatever the stencil doesn't hit, it gets covered in ink. So running the press again. So yeah, it'll be a really busy. Oh, let me show you. I think I got a few more here. Yeah, this is nice. You can see you can repeat, you can print and repeat imagery over and over and over to create like the illusion of volume. So next class, we'll meet in class. I'll talk a little bit about the syllabus. I've sent you the syllabus, so if you have any questions, you can feel free to email me. But I will be covering it, briefly, and we'll go and do the safety checks, or not safety checks. We'll go around the room and I'll go over all the safety precautions and things you need to be aware of working in the studio. And then we're going to go ahead and then we'll talk about our ideas for the posters. Like I said, you want it to be alliteration. It can be, it can be more than 2 words, but you want to keep it short and punchy. You want to have some kind of an imagery made up. You've seen from some of the examples. You can get a pretty wide range from the material. You can get let's see a good example. You can go real kind of simple like silhouettes. You can get pretty detailed with the stamps actually, like like you see these here. They're pretty detailed from the stamps. Yeah, and you can get this one. You can see how detailed the stamp is. Accordion in the background, stamp. And you can see how you can get line work from the stencils. But anyways, like I said, I'll give you a demo for that. So I have a couple sketches, and some ideas. You want it to all make sense. You want the background to inform the text. You want the stencil. You want everything to work together. I think this is a good example too. Like, you have the water bottles, and then you have the actual water droplets. So then that feeds into the type. Same thing with this bicycle, right? Cerveza. So you have the bicycle, but then you have the bottle cap. That's in the middle of this rim. And like I said, we'll make 4 different ones, and it'll be a part of the show and a part of the collection of these prints. So yeah, that's the things we'll cover next class. If you have any questions before then, like I said, feel free to email me. And I guess that's it. Okay. I'm excited about this semester. I've got a lot of things planned. We have some visiting artists that I'm going to tell you about next class that are going to be working in the studio that you'll get to meet and possibly do a project with. Yeah, it's going to be a good semester. I can already feel it. So I'll see you then. And until then, take care. Thank you so much.